أعزائنا المشاهدين أهلا بيكم. النهاردة يوم مختلف هنتعلم فيه حاجات كتير. النهاردة اسمحوا لي نتكلم إنجليش أكتر الوقت لأن معايا حد مهم جدا هيعلمنا إزاي نستثمر فلوسنا حتى لو معانا فلوس صغيرة منين نبتدي. So my pleasure to welcome a lady she considered to be one of the most successful investor in USA. Layla Pence, how are you, ma'am?
I'm very well, thank you, Mira. How are you?
I'm fine, and it's my pleasure and my honor to have one of the most successful economists and portfolio manager, Harvard graduate, retired Army and psychologist, welfare specialist, Mr. Pence. How are you, sir?
Happy to be here. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much. Just was talking to Miss Layla and Dryden Pence, and I am very nervous and confused, little bit, but I know it will be a great show. Dryden Pence, I know you are very well known, and you're always in Fox News and CNN and lots of channels. So it's very challenging for me today to do a great show with you, sir. So I'm very happy this first time for you here. So it's our honor. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here. It's a great honor for me as well. Thank you for having us on. This should be a lot of fun.
Yes. So first of all, I know both of you started your successful, very famous company, 1980, if I'm right? Right?
Well, that's when I got into the business, yes.
Yes, and before we start the economy and the situation right now in America and how we can all make money, can you tell me how you both meet in the first place?
So believe it or not, we were a blind date.
Blind date? Yes. Who set you up?
a friend of ours tried to get us to go out together, but he was very busy. When I met him, he had a business in Arkansas, one in Colorado, and one in California, and we could never get the time where they were available and I was available. So they called me and they said, you two should just meet. So he called and I said, I'm a big sports fan. So I asked him if he liked sports, and he said yes. Anyway, so I invited him to a hockey game, and then he insisted on having dinner with me beforehand. So we went and had dinner, and we went to the hockey game, and then turns out he really doesn't like sports. He just said that to meet me.
Yes.
But then he redeemed himself because he took me dancing, and he's a very good dancer, and that sealed the deal.
Oh, that's amazing. And you have a very beautiful daughter, Sarah. She's amazing, smart singer, and she has a great future. So that's amazing. So
it's our pride and joy.
Yes. Her picture here. Yes. Beautiful Sarah.
Hey,
she's 16 years old, right?
17 now. She's just 17.
17 right now. And what she do? Schooling and what else?
So she, first of all, she speaks 4 languages. She speaks Arabic, مصري.
مصري.
تكلم مصري حلو قوي عربي شفتيها.
Yes.
وبتغني عربي. As you know, she just sang in ليالي زمان. غنت قلبي مفتاحها في ليالي زمان, and she had the lead role in her play at school.
Yeah, I watched this on Facebook too.
And then she wants to follow in her dad's footsteps and go to Harvard.
Oh,
that's she's studying very hard right now.
That's amazing. So, Mr. Pence, your title, economist, portfolio manager, Harvard graduate, and your major was economy. I read a little bit about you.
Yeah.
And you were in veteran in the Army, and your major was a psychologist.
Right. I'm a retired full colonel in the Army.
Yes.
My expertise was psychological warfare.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So tell me how this helped you to be a great investor. Like being a psychologist, is that help?
Well, it certainly does. I mean, the issue is that when you think about how people make decisions, there's a lot of psychology that goes into that. So no one, like we say, no one makes a penny until someone decides to buy.
Yes.
So if you can figure out how people make decisions to buy things, and then kind of predict that and be in front of that, then you can understand what companies that you should buy that are going to have good earnings and things like that. So trying to understand why people do what they do, why they buy what they buy, allows you to be somewhat predictive in that nature, and allows you to understand the companies that people are going to buy things from. And that tends to be better for portfolio management.
Yes, we're going to talk more about that, but I watched a very beautiful documentary movie about you. And we need to watch that, okay?
Okay. By the way, I had nothing to do with that movie.
I know.
I did an interview with
BBC.
BBC.
Yeah,
The BBC.
And I did an interview with them, and then they found out that I was Egyptian, and some company in Egypt did this. So
Yes.
and so
Definitely.
it was pretty good. But
Yes, and you have lots of awards. We're going to talk about that. But,
Okay.
but before the movie, maybe we can take one call from Shireen. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Shireen?
I'm very good. I'm so glad. To the power couple, how are you?
thank you. How are you,
Hi.
Shireen?
I'm amazing. I have a very important question to ask you.
Okay, honey.
The question that I have is for today's society. We have a lot of these new entrepreneurs coming out, children, and even young adults. And how is it that they're going to invest when they're making so much money on like these, for example, the Instagram and all those things, and they don't know what to do with it? It's a huge epidemic. What do you recommend for these people, and how do we get them to, invest logically? Because it's kind of scary that it's a huge spending society.
Yes. Okay, that's a unique question.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take the first crack at
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
And one of the things that's really important for people to do, particularly when they're young and they have money, is to recognize that what's really important is very consistent returns over a long period of time. That way you're able to take advantage of the characteristics of compound interest. And so it's very important to start investing early and do so consistently. And it's not necessarily whether you're going to get big wins or big losses, but if you're going to get consistent wins over a long period of time. And so the sooner you start, the better off you are. And the important thing is, for young investors, I always tell them, don't try to always hit home runs. Don't try to always go for the great big win, because if you think about baseball, Layla's taught me a lot about sports over the years, and if you think about baseball, Shireen, if you're always trying to hit a home run, you're also going to always strike out a lot. So it's better
That's
to
true.
look for things to allow you to invest consistently over a long period of time, and that's how you can build wealth that really lasts. Layla, did you want to?
One of the things they have to do is, the parents and the education system and so forth, we do need to do a better job educating the young people coming into the workforce about, at least you always want to put at least 10% of what you make away. If you start doing that, and whether you're making a lot of money in Instagram or whether you're spending a lot of money, if you put it away first, then you get to spend what you have, then you're going to have a future. But it's always good to invest first and then do the spending, because if you spend the money and then you say, okay, I'm going to see what's left, there's nothing left.
Right.
So yeah, so that's what we recommend that they do, and a lot of times they can do that through work or through meeting with a financial advisor or so. But it's very important to just, as though, when you have a mortgage, you pay it first and then you spend. Same thing with investing. You invest first and then you spend what's left.
I think also the one thing to point out too, for particularly young people, if they are with an employer that has a 401k program that does matching or something like that,
Yes.
always
Oh, that's a good idea.
max
Maximize
out
that.
what the employer is going to match. It's probably the best deal that's out there.
Exactly.
That's amazing, yes.
Thank you, Shireen.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Shireen, Zaza and company. Thank you so much. Okay, so before the video as well, because you said something very important, save 10%.
Yes.
And I heard someone say the cash is very bad investment, just to keep cash on side.
That's absolutely true, because cash doesn't earn anything, right? I mean, you might be able to get maybe 1% in the bank,
Yes.
but that
It's nothing.
inflation, and after you pay taxes, it's nothing.
Yes.
So when you put away 10%, you have to invest in the stock market or in businesses, in mutual funds or stocks, because those are companies and those are things that grow. You have to and then once you build up enough money, then you can do other investments. But you cannot just, we don't call putting it 10% in the bank as an investment. That's just a savings. And you do that first, and then you take your savings and you find the best investments depending on how much risk you're willing to take, how much time you want to put this money for, what do you want to use this money for. Is it for retirement? Is it for a house? Is it for vacation? Is it for building your future, college education, all these things? Then there's different investments for different things that you want to achieve.
Yes.
But you definitely have to invest.
Yes.
You
And
can't
we'll
just
learn-
put it in the bank and it's not going to make any money.
Yeah, we'll learn
doing that.
about that after your video, okay?
Okay, sounds
I'm very
good.
excited for this video. Okay,
right.
ممكن نشوف الفيديو please? Okay, thank you. أنا الفيديو ده أول ما شفته عايزة أقول لك إن أنا يعني عينيا دمعت.
صحيح؟
Really, بجد. It has over 6 million right now viewers.
Really?
Yes, only on Facebook.
Wow.
Okay, it's ready. Okay,
All right.
let's see it together.
هذه المرأة المصرية التي تحدت كل الصعاب لتصبح اليوم واحدة من أهم النساء في عالم المال والأعمال حول العالم. اليوم سنروي لكم قصة نجاح ليلى بنس. كانت تعيش ليلى مع عائلتها بسلام بالقرب من قناة السويس في مصر، إلى أن اندلعت في عام 1967 حرب الستة أيام بين مصر والأردن وسوريا وإسرائيل. دوت صافرات الإنذار في مدينتها وبدأت القنابل تتساقط، فهربت ليلى مع عائلتها إلى مكان آمن. بعد انتهاء خطر الغارة عادت العائلة بسرعة إلى المنزل لأخذ أمتعة خفيفة ويذهبوا بعيدا إلى مكان آمن. لحظة خروجهم من المنزل وإذا بصافرات الإنذار تدوي من جديد، ثم سمعوا دوي قنبلة كبيرة. تقول ليلى: سقطت القنبلة في الغرفة التي كنت فيها ودمرت المنزل. نجت ليلى وعائلتها بأعجوبة، لكنهم فقدوا كل شيء تقريبا. انتقلت ليلى وعائلتها إلى القاهرة، ونجح والدها في أخذ موافقة على الهجرة إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. لم تجري أمور الانتقال بسهولة، فقد كسر والدها ساقه وتعذر عليه السفر. خوفا من انتهاء مدة التأشيرة الممنوحة لهم، كان على العائلة اتخاذ قرار بسفر ليلى مع والدتها لوحدهما. وصلت ليلى مع أمها إلى نيويورك وكان عمرها 12 عاما، وواجهوا الكثير من المصاعب. بسبب وضعهم المادي السيء كانوا يعيشون في شقة صغيرة مع عائلة من بورتوريكو. تقول ليلى: لقد كان وقتا عصيبا حقا، لم نكن نعرف تحدث اللغة الإنجليزية، وكانت نيويورك مدينة باردة. تخرجت ليلى من مدرستها الثانوية ودرست الاقتصاد في جامعة كاليفورنيا، وكانت تعمل نادلة في أحد المطاعم لتغطي تكاليف دراستها. وفي آخر سنة دراسية لها وجدت أول زبائنها، وهي امرأة أعطتها $20,000 لتستثمره. تصف ليلى تلك اللحظة: كنت سعيدة جدا، وتضيف: لم أكن أصدق أن شخصا ما سيعطيني ثقته ويقدم لي $20,000 من مال كسبه بعرق جبينه. أصبحت ليلى مستشارة مالية لهذه الزبونة. بعدها بفترة قليلة تزوجت ليلى من بنس، وأسسا معا في عام 1980 شركتهما لتقديم خدمات استشارة مالية. في الثمانينات كان عمل المرأة صعبا، ولم يكن الرجال يثقون بقدرات ليلى المالية، حتى أن أحدهم قال لها عندما كانت حامل: سأسحب أموالي من شركتكم لأنك ستكونين مشغولة بالعناية بالطفل. رغم كل الصعاب التي تتعرض لها المرأة العربية العاملة في الولايات المتحدة، تمكنت ليلى وزوجها من تكبير الشركة، وأصبح لديهم ما يقارب $1.5 مليار من الاستثمارات. كما وضعت مجلة فوربس ليلى في المركز الرابع في قائمة أفضل المستشارين الماليين في الولايات المتحدة. رغم انشغالها بأعمالها، إلا أنها تجد الوقت لزيارة مصر بكثرة، وتتبرع للعديد من الجمعيات الخيرية هناك. كما كرمت ليلى قبل سنتين بمنحها جائزة عن مجمل إنجازات حياتها المهنية. قصة ليلى هي قصة نجاح وإصرار في عالم صعب.
Thank you.
برافو. Bravo, Laila, bravo. I'm so proud of you. I'm sure every Egyptian around the world are so proud of you. بجد برافو عليكي. How do you feel about marrying like one of the like most important women in the United States right now?
You know, the short answer is it feels wonderful. It feels just as wonderful now as the day that I married her, and that was a long time ago. We've been married for over 20 years, and it's been a wonderful journey to spend time and go through this journey together. So it's been an honor and a privilege for me. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yes, that's amazing.
I'm lucky to live the American dream.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let me ask you something before I go to the complicated stuff with him.
Okay.
When people go through hard times, like
Yes.
you went through hard times,
Right.
and actually most of us been through hard times, but some people, they feel like they take some grudge inside them, like Egypt did a lot for me, I've been kicked out of my country, my house been destroyed, I hate this country. So how you love the country Egypt so much, and you contributed a lot to the Egypt and the Egyptian, and you don't have that grudge or, you know, like the bad feeling or the childhood bad memories. How we can like try to fix that inside ourselves, because we all have like some stuff in the memories when we were a child, and I wanted something and I couldn't like buy it, or my family couldn't buy it for me. So how you can do that?
I love Egypt, as you probably know.
I know you love Egypt,
know, and
yes.
So much so that I've taught my daughter Arabic and you know, and so forth. I never, you know, what happened in Egypt and the bombing and all that had nothing to do with Egypt. And as a matter of fact, the education I got in Egypt, even though it was only for 12 years, was just good education. The primary education in those ages is much harder than what they teach our kids here.
That's true.
When I came to this country, all I had to do is really concentrate on learning English, because all the science, all the math, and
yes.
I had already.
We are very advanced.
We're very advanced. So I felt really lucky and so much smarter, and also it allowed me to living through hard times. You know, you don't appreciate the good unless bad things happen to you, and although, you know, when you come to this country, you also think that the streets here are paved with gold. So if nothing else, I actually thought America initially would be a lot better, because in Egypt they give you this idea that, you know, America is this, America that, and you don't realize how hard it is to get started here. So, but here, you know, you do have an opportunity, but not at all. I loved Egyptian music and Egyptian food and Egyptian people, and you know, I love everything about Egypt. And every country has good and bad. But you never look at the bad. I mean, I can talk about America that has a lot of bad, and I talk about Egypt, there's lots of bad. Yeah. But I only remember the good, and I remember the family and the love and how warm the Egyptian people are, and those are things.
That's why you're successful, and you can develop and, you know, and inspire other people. So you're saying that the circumstance in your life, it doesn't affect you, but your mind and your hard work will affect you.
Right. If you know, you can go out and blame others.
Yes,
if you don't succeed. And that's when people don't succeed, that's what they do. They have somebody else to blame.
Yes.
You know, it's always in your control.
Yes, exactly.
And it all starts with a positive attitude. You know.
I think I'm gonna add to that, because I've known Layla for a long time,
yes.
and I think all the things that happened in the video, all the things that happened in her life, and one thing that she's said before is, you know, when you've lost everything, you can be fearless.
Yeah, you can be fearless. Okay, yeah, I understand.
And so when you've gone through that, that's allowed her to be very successful here in the United States, because, you know, there's you know, when you start off, there's nothing else that can happen to you. So she can be fearless, and she can be
brave and bold, and reach her goals.
So all those things kind of made her what she is today. So it's all part of the whole package. So you take any negative.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yes, you're right. I love this song. Yes.
And she's very strong.
Yes, she's very strong, and you're very strong, and Sarah, she's very strong too, and you like teaching us all how to be strong. We all look like up to you guys. Seriously. Oh, serious. Okay, so let's talk about the economy a little bit.
Sure.
And right now, the economy, like we've been in a good long run. here, and the economy been expanded. So what's the figures you look at and you say, yes, we are in a good economy and we're going to continue? I know you cannot really expect what's going to happen in 6 months or 1 year. But it's not like a game, like guessing game or anything.
No,
you need to know, like, or feel something.
I think what we always try to focus on is let's get the great big things right. Look for the big knowable themes that are going on in the economy. And when you look at the United States economy, more people are working, making more money than they've ever made before. And so when the underlying economy, when the population as a whole are doing pretty good, more people are working, then what do we do as consumers? The American national pastime is shopping. We spend money. And so there's more people out shopping. So that's going to be the underpinning of the economy. And we think that that's going to continue to grow at a decent rate for the next year or two. So we think that, that's pretty positive. And so as long as you don't have a rise in unemployment, right? You have unemployment below 4%. People are continuing to go, and the economy is continuing to move forward, and wages are going up, then the underpinning of the economy is pretty good, and I think that's going to translate to growth for everyone.
Okay, I know there is like a few companies, their name are really big, like Amazon, Apple, I guess, Google too. And if I'm a regular person, I know you have like 1.5 billion in purchase, but regular people, like ordinary people, how much they should have to start in something like big name like Amazon, by example?
Well, Amazon is a very expensive stock, right? One share is almost $1,800. It's $1,800.
Okay.
So when you're small, you don't want to invest in just one company, right? You want to invest in many, many companies, because no matter how good a company is, it could go down for some reason. I don't know, a few years ago, like General Electric, for example, was doing very well, and then now it's on hard time and it's gone down. Or, there used to be companies called Woolworth, and these stores don't even exist anymore, right? So there's companies come and go. So you never, whether you're a big investor, even or a small investor, you don't invest in 1 or 2 or 3 companies. The idea is to have many, many companies. And when you're starting out young, it's better to go like with mutual fund, which is a basket. They manage a portfolio. They buy all the stocks for you, and you just buy the shares, and you let them do the buying and selling for you. And then as you get more and more money, then you can go into buying, but you never buy just one stock. But those companies would certainly be a good part of the portfolio, but they should not be more than maybe 3% of your portfolio.
Okay, so you advise people who are starting to do like many companies in the beginning.
Right, or just go to mutual funds. And when they're starting out, they really should go maybe an advisor to help them.
Okay.
Because unless this is what you do for a living, and a lot of people, when the market is going up, they think they're all geniuses, and they think they can just invest, because when things are going up, everything goes up. But it's a lot easier. It's very easy for people to tell you what to buy. The trick, or the most important thing in this business, is to know when to sell. And most people don't know when to sell, because when the stock is going up, they don't want to sell. When it starts going down, they go, well, it was up there.
I got scared.
And then, maybe it's going to come back out. Maybe I should sell. Then it starts going down, down, down. And then after a while, they say, oh, my gosh, I can't take anymore. Then they sell. Just when they sell, it starts going back up. And they look back, and it's very, very hard. The selling part is much harder. You can read newspapers. You can tell your friends can tell you to buy this and buy that. That's easy. But knowing when to sell is why people like us are here to make a living, because we research, and we do a lot more, and that's when you make money, because it's not when you buy, it's when you sell.
When you sell, of course. Okay.
Yeah. So starting out, it's mutual funds or exchange traded funds, ETFs, or unit investment trust, and then as your portfolio gets bigger, you move on to individual stocks.
Yes, great. Okay. So the election 2020 is coming.
Sure.
And I love President Trump. I have to say that. So I never knew what Republican means or anything until he came, and I felt like he's an amazing guy. So, and we have his pictures here. So do you think like I am a very simple person. I don't know political stuff or economic stuff, but I think his name is enough to make America with a good economy right now. Do you think it's right or wrong? And do you think the economy is getting better? And if he got elected again, re-elected again, what do you think?
Sure. I think we focus on policy as opposed to politicians. So I think it's very important to...
Policy is basically, what he's saying is we focus on what someone changes, what they want to have happen, as opposed to who that person is. So, you know, it's we look at what they want to do. They want to reduce taxes or raise taxes.
Oh, okay.
Do they want to, you know, these kind of things. Yeah.
Having said that, getting into the crux of the matter.
Yes.
The tax cut is really, really important. And the tax cut that the Trump administration did a lot to move our economy forward. That and the amount of deregulation that he has done has helped unleash a tremendous amount of business innovation and growth. So with the election coming up really less than a year away, we think the economy is in pretty good shape up until then. We think the markets will probably be decent up until then, and then the election will be a triggering event. If Trump wins, then it's going to be one thing. If Trump loses, it might be something else. And the important thing to recognize is that if more people making more money, like I said, the economy is pretty good. And that is beneficial for Donald Trump and the presidency. And I think what's going to happen is the election is going to really end up being about the economy in the end. And that's favorable to him. If you ended up having a change in the presidency, that would probably signal a change in tax policy, and we would be looking at an incentive to have, of course, the Democrats would have to win a couple of seats in the Senate too, but if that happened, then we would be at risk of a very large tax increase. And that would be negative to the economy. When you've pulled that much money out of the consumer's hand, I certainly trust consumers more than I trust politicians.
Okay.
And so if you tax people a lot and the government gets hold of the money, that's not nearly as good as the consumers having it. And I think that would be a negative to the economy.
Okay. But
And
so far we're so good.
So far, so good.
Yes.
So far, so good. But it's hard to the outcome of the election in 2020 is probably going to be a very clear choice, and the results of that outcome will probably have a very clear effect on the economy, one way or the other.
Okay. I hear the real estate economy, or I mean the real estate going down. Is that true? Do you know anything about that?
I think it's just, so real estate follows interest rates.
Yes.
Okay, and also it follows the economy, because if people have money and they're working, they're going to sometimes want to go to a bigger house, or they want to invest in real estate to get income. So if the economy is good, real estate should be okay. The big thing is that if you have very expensive homes, and you're in California, what happened is the tax law took away some of the deductions that you used to have from buying a bit expensive home. So expensive homes have starting to go down, okay, but medium-sized home around $750,000 to $1 million, they're still are fine. And then investing in apartments and so forth, if you want to deal with management and all of that, they're still okay. It's very important when someone invests is they don't invest in one thing. What I find, especially with Egyptians, I find they tend to only want to put money in the bank and they do real estate because they understand that.
Yeah.
They can go knock
or gas
on wood.
station. That's it.
Yes.
I know.
But it's very important is for people to have everything. You need to have money in the bank. You need to have real estate. You need to have stocks and bonds and mutual funds. You need to have all the investments. If anything, if anyone out there is listening, that's the one thing I would recommend you do is not put all your money into one type of investment only. You need, it's okay to have some real estate, but certainly having money in the market is important because that money is liquid, and businesses, if the real estate goes down,
you're going to lose your money or portion of your money.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I think
businesses also pay dividends, just like real estate does. You can live off the income from a stock than you do with real estate.
Yes.
I think one thing that might be important for the viewers and the audience is that, and Layla mentioned this, is that interest rates really are a big factor because it's the cost of money, and a lot of real estate is from borrowed money. And so where we stand right now after the latest changes that the Federal Reserve has made in interest rates is that we think interest rates are probably pretty stable for a while. They're not going to go up much. They're not going to go down much. So they're probably in this path of fairly stable, and interest rates are low. So they're kind of low and stable without a lot of volatility for the next year or so. So I think that that's important as people look at the real estate market and how that goes up and goes down. We're going to have a fairly stable interest rate environment for the next year or so.
Too.
Yeah,
Also, if people are afraid of stocks, there's bonds, right? And there's tax-free bonds. If anyone's paying high taxes, they can buy tax-free bonds. And if they buy bonds that are California, then it'll be tax-free from federal taxes and state taxes. And for some money where they want to have it safe, that's a good place to have
the bonds.
Some bonds, municipal bonds.
Okay, that's amazing. So thank you so much. We have too many questions for you, but before that, we need to talk about fun stuff. So you have lots of awards, correct? So we need to bring these to the screen. المخرج ممكن يجيب لنا الأوردز بتاعت أستاذة ليلى بنس, please. واحدة مهمة جدا كانت Hall of Fame. Can you tell me about this one?
So that's really the one I guess I'm most proud of, because it's you can have an award one year and then next year you don't.
Yeah.
But this is Barron's newspaper, which is part of Wall Street Journal.
Yes.
They've been ranking advisors like myself for many years. But when you become a Hall of Fame advisor, that means for the last 10 years, out of 600,000 financial advisors, people that can call themselves a financial advisor in the United States, there's only 142 advisors that have been ranked in the top 100 for the last 10 years in a row.
Yes.
And they gave me that award, which I'm honored and humbled and really most proud of.
Yes, and no, actually you deserve it for sure. And there is another one, Woman Watch by Investment News, right?
Right. So
احنا عندنا صورة تانية برضو لو نجيبها. Okay. Okay. طيب لغاية ما يشوفوا الصور التانية, can you tell me about the Woman Watch by Investment?
So that one is basically saying not only am I a good financial advisor, but I help other women and I give back time to help other women succeed. So it's more, it's really more, and it's that one I really also enjoy having, because it means I'm not a selfish person, that I'm really...
No, you are not. We have the picture. خلينا نشوف الصورة, of course. بجد بتبسط قوي لما بشوف الحاجات دي. Very nice. Okay.
Yeah, and so
I wanted to prove.
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of. I have
four sisters. وانتي
تعرفين في مصر بقى لو كلكم بنات, عندي احنا 4 بنات.
فين الولد اللي كان يسندني؟
أنا آخر بنت, يعني ماما عندها جابت 3 بنات وما كانتش هتجيب تاني, قعدت 10 سنين.
أيوة.
وبعدين I came.
صحيح.
ما كانوش هجيب تاني خلاص, 3 بنات.
وجت غلطة.
جت غلطة.
أحلى غلطة صح.
So but it's an award that excellence in financial planning, but also giving back.
Giving back. وكمان Forbes News, Forbes magazine.
Right.
You ranked the fourth
top woman advisor in the country.
Advisor in the country. How do you feel that you are? يعني بتحسي much more responsibility in your shoulder, right?
Right.
So what do you feel about like being, of the top 4 in the United States?
I feel somebody should pinch me.
No,
I feel that really, it's wonderful when people recognize you for something that you love and you do. I do this because I love what I do. I love helping people. I love making a difference in someone's life. And someone gives me an award for doing that. What a wonderful thing. I feel like when the Academy Awards, when these actors do their job and they make this movie and you really love them and they get an award, it's kind of like that. They do it because that's what they do for a living and they enjoy it.
Yes.
And I feel that lucky that I get to do something I enjoy every day and it's hard work. It's not easy, and it comes
Sure.
with, you know, I mean, when people give me their money to invest, it's the most important thing, and I take that to heart.
Yes.
It's the most important thing, and they depend, you know, their retirement or living on how I do with their money. So it's quite a responsibility, and so it's important that I take care of it and do the right thing for them. And a lot of people have trouble trusting other advisors because they don't know. So I've been lucky that people have trusted me all these years and continue, and I'm able to give back because that's my biggest joy.
Yes, of course. We are so honored to have you guys. Thank you so much. And let me talk about Mr. Pence. And I found very beautiful pictures for you. عايزة أعملهم كمان. ممكن نشوف البيكتشرز بتاعت Mr. Pence وهو لابس الهدوم بتاعت الارمي. Yes, it's very beautiful.
He's a very handsome man.
He's very handsome. You're lucky, I know,
Yeah.
right? So tell me about this outfit, please.
Oh, well, as we mentioned before, I'm a retired full colonel in the Army, and these are various events where I was, there was a change of command ceremony, but I did psychological warfare operations and special operations for 22 years, and then was the remote director of intelligence for U.S. Central Command in the Middle East, and then I had command of a thing called AFRICOM, ARE, which was our assets on the continent of Africa. So I had a very interesting and varied career for a number of years, and it taught me a lot about many things. And it was, you know, war is never an easy thing. I went to war a couple of times. But,
Hopefully no more wars. Hopefully.
He's
With
retired
Trump,
now, yes.
please.
But I think that it's allowed me to learn a lot as we move through what goes on in the world.
We're sorry,
It's a
very
different
proud of him.
perspective.
Definitely. And what is this one? Can you
Oh,
tell me
that's
about this?
that's a Bronze Star, and that was
what does that mean?
for that's for being in combat. That was in Desert Storm, the first one. I went into a minefield and walked some people out that were trapped in it. So that's
So you're a hero.
Yes, he is a hero.
just doing my job.
Yes.
Just doing my job.
Sarah, I want to tell Sarah you're very lucky to have your daddy as a hero and mommy as she's like, you know, one of the best investors in America. She's a very lucky girl. God bless her to you. So I have a question for you, sir. I came to your office. Thank you so much. We did amazing interview, and I saw you with the teamwork. Like you guys, like are like coaching, and you know, I felt like there is a game, and you guys, like, you know, like sending the ball, and you know, they bounce it back to you. I felt like a very energetic atmosphere. So, as a psychological major, do you think that's helped you with dealing with your team?
I think so. I mean, people are motivated by many different things, and we're lucky. We have a very, very bright group of team members. We've got people with great educational backgrounds from, you know, Harvard, Columbia, Claremont. People with PhDs. People with a whole variety of educational backgrounds and levels of experience. And so there's a lot of give and take in a successful investment environment where everybody's opinions are valued. We spend a lot of time challenging each other about what's going on.
That's what I felt, a challenge, right? Yes.
And it's an energetic group of people, and sometimes there's really strong debates amongst the people on the team. But in the end, you come to a very good place where if there's a problem, if there's an economic question, if there's a question about a company, by the time we get to what our real opinion is, we really challenged each other to make sure that we know what we know why we think something, we know the processes behind it, and it's consistent with our overall investment theme. So every idea is challenged, and then it's refined, and then it's moved to something that we hope is successful for our clients.
And one of the most important things is we're only as good as our team. We may get the accolades, but we can't do any of what we do without our team. We're very lucky, and we work very hard in attracting the right people, but most of all, they have to have a servant's heart.
Yes, servant's heart.
Right.
Okay.
And
Yes, you told me that before. Yes.
Yes.
And we also do some on-the-ground research. We sent one of our research analysts to China for a week, and we sent another one of our guys to Houston and a couple of other places in the center part of the country, just to kind
Researching.
to
See what
do
comes of it.
research
Market.
and to look and see what was going on. It's very easy to get stuck behind a computer screen, but a computer screen doesn't always tell you what's really going on.
Because you see, investing in stocks like it's investing in a business, right? So what we do is we go research that business. We go see, for example, let's say it's Apple. Are they really selling so much, iPhones? Are they really successful? Are people going to buy their iPads and all the things? Because if you determine how good the company is, then most likely if you buy stocks in home in that company, it's going to go well. So we do research. We research the businesses that we invest in.
You go to the field and you check
Yes.
yourself and
Right.
everything.
Yeah. So, and we also want to see how the economy is. Because if you look at California, that may not be representative of the middle America. And so we go and see. Jordan, one time he went to like Indianapolis, and then he'll go to the, there and ask people, how is the economy? How is business? Are you guys doing well? And we do that everywhere we go. So we really want to, it's not enough just to read and do research. You have to
And
get,
sit in your office
Right.
comfortable. You
can't-
have to go and
Right.
hunt the news.
You can't just sit in the office behind a computer, because that doesn't tell you what's really going on. You've got to get out in the environment and see.
Yes.
I like watching where the UPS trucks and the FedEx trucks and the train car goes, and we pay a lot of attention to transportation, because that tells you, are goods and services moving, and are things going on in the economy, and how much volume is
see,
there. That's really
there's
important.
people that trade stocks, buy and sell all the time, and there's people that really invest in good businesses. And it's a good business. If you hold on to it and it's paying you income or dividends, you're going to do well. But most people, especially younger people, they want to just buy and sell and make money.
Exactly.
And that, unfortunately, in the end they lose, and they go, oh, stock market is horrible, and they're trying to do something else. Because if if something's too good to be true, it usually is.
I think one of the sayings that we have, and it's probably appropriate for this station, one of the sayings we have in the investment team is that God is long. And long means positive, and that it's going to go
Long term.
up.
Long term.
And we say God is long because if you think of nature, nature naturally grows. That's the world set up that way. And so economies typically, if you let people do what people do, it's kind of like if you let animals do what animals do. They tend to reproduce. They tend to grow. They tend to have a positive effect. And so the natural trend is for things to be positive. So if that's true, then you want to be more of an investor than a trader, because the long-term trend is always in your favor.
Yes.
And so I think that's the kind of way we like to look at things, is that over time things generally on the,
Will
in the long
expand
term
and,
will
and
expand
grow.
or positive.
Okay, this is actually my next question. Is there is any term in the investment field saying that there is a long term and short term, like there is a stock I can make money right away, or I have to leave it to cook slowly and forget about it? What do you think?
It depends. It depends. If you're buying a small company that is new and doesn't have, or if you're buying something because you think something's going to happen, and you try and make that, and that's not as predictable. It's not as predictable when you try and make short term. You can buy a company for long term if it goes up quickly in a short period of time, and you think this is as good as it gets. There's nothing wrong from selling it and taking profit, but when you do that, you wind up paying a lot more taxes, because if you don't own a stock at least 1 year, then the profits you make, you have to pay ordinary income taxes. Whereas if you own it for 1 year and 1 day, then you pay a lower tax rate.
But you need to be patient, right?
You need to be patient. It's the hardest thing in investing is to be patient.
I think Layla makes a really good point there, is when you buy a stock, typically what you want to be doing is you want to actually be an investor. So if every stock you buy, you really want to be in a situation, do I really want to hold this for a long time? Is the long-term trend where I want to be? Now, that doesn't mean you have to hold it for a long time. That means maybe it goes up really, really fast and you take your profits and run. Or maybe something has changed in what's going on with the company and you need to sell. I mean, we always say take losses while they're small. Don't wait for them to grow. You know, so you want to try to do that. But if when you first buy a stock, when you first make an investment, make it from the perspective that this is something you're going to have for a long period of time. And if you start with that premise, then you're much better off, regardless of what happens in the short term.
Okay, great. So I have a question from Mr. George. He's saying, if I have $1 million, is there any stocks can assure me $20,000 or more a year?
That's only 2%.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the question.
Oh yeah, I mean most stocks pay just that much in dividends. If for $1 million, the average, we put portfolios will pay 2 or 3% just from dividends.
Okay.
From rent, you know, from profits. Companies,
Profits. Okay.
once they grow to a certain amount, then they pay their shareholders. You know, it's the same thing. Let's say you were buying a rental property, and first, you know, the rent is low, but then in time you raise the rents and you have more income from it. It's the same thing with companies. As they have more profits and so forth, we know exactly which companies pay dividends, which ones don't. And if someone has that kind of portfolio and want income from it, that's not hard. It's like it's harder if you say I want to have income of 50,000. Well, most companies don't pay that.
Okay.
But 2% to 3% they do pay.
2 to 3% they pay.
Right.
Okay, and mostly where they can like invest, if they want to invest, the mutual fund, the many places, or one place?
It just depends on how much dollar amount. Is it $1 million or is it 50,000 or 100,000?
I think your caller George is you know, his comment was, if I have $1 million, what do I do with it? Well, you know, investing $1 million is a lot different than investing 10,000, and so $10,000 you would probably find yourself most readily served in a mutual fund, an exchange traded fund, or a unit investment trust. If you have $1 million, you're going to be in a portfolio of stocks that will be, the stocks in and of themselves will be diversified and picked to kind of get you to where you need to be. So a lot of it depends on how much you have to work with. And then, as Layla pointed out, there are, I mean, you know, there's no guarantees in the stock market, and there's no guarantees out there. But in terms of looking at dividend earnings, those dividends are fairly predictable, so you can do that, and portfolios can be built around those.
Okay, okay, that's amazing. So one of the things you guys do in your company, how to maximize your return, and this is something we all love to know about. So can you tell me more how to maximize our returns?
Well, you know, you basically, first of all, you know, when we sit down with a client, we find out what do they want this money to do. How, you know, what kind of taxes are they paying? What do they need it ready? You know, this year they want to have it for 3 or 4 or 5 years. All these things. Once we know all these things, then
everyone is different.
Everyone's different. Then we could put a portfolio that does better than usually what they have, or maximizes the return to meet their specific goal and objective.
I think the reason why a lot of individual investors don't maximize their returns is they get fearful. They get driven by their emotions, and the market's going up, and they buy and buy and buy, and then the market goes down, and they don't want to sell, and then at the last minute they always sell at the bottom, right?
Yes.
And so their emotions take over. So one of the key things to maximizing your return is to actually have a portfolio that you're comfortable with. So in our firm, and this goes back to the psychology background and a few other things, everybody has to take about a 12-question psychological profile test that tells us
The investors?
Yes, everyone to be one of our clients, you got to take one of these.
Test.
It takes 10 minutes. It's no big deal.
Okay.
But it's highly effective, and it allows us to understand how you are as an individual and how the markets go up and down. There's volatility. There's no stopping that. But it's knowing how you're going to react to that volatility, and are you going to panic or not. So we always want to make sure that we build a portfolio that gives you the right amount of return for the least amount of panic, right? So you don't get frightened or have anxiety or sell out at exactly the wrong time.
You need to be a brave, that's what you're saying, you need to be a brave in the stock market?
You need to be, I think, brave, and more important than brave is wise.
Wise.
And that's why a lot of people
That's your
need
part, to be wise.
And patient.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And don't let your emotions, like when the market goes down, it goes on sale. When you have a sale here, everyone wants to go buy, but not when the stock market. When things are going down, nobody wants to buy because they don't know how far it's going to go down. You know, so it's very emotional, especially for investors.
So to answer the question about maximizing returns very succinctly, is the way you're going to maximize returns over time is to have a portfolio that you're comfortable with that lets you stay invested over a long period of time. So that it's not too aggressive, it makes you uncomfortable, and you sell out at the wrong time. It's a portfolio that's balanced for who you are as a person, and that's why we have everybody.
One way we
taking
do
the
that is by having you have a portfolio that pays income, even while it goes up and down.
Okay,
You
so
know-
like a steady income.
Right. So yeah, I mean, if you look at real estate, people, if they treated real estate the way they treat stocks, nobody would make money in real estate, right? Real estate, you buy for long term, and you buy and you know you're not going to sell, and you hope it gives you rent.
Yeah.
Whether the price goes down, up or down, it doesn't
getting
matter
the rent.
because you're still getting the rent.
Yes,
But when it comes to stocks, when it goes up and down, even though it's giving them rent, they panic,
they panic.
right?
Yes.
So, you know, if you buy a good company, a lot of times it goes up and down, not because the company is doing bad, but because something happens, you know, in Europe or China or Washington, whatever. You only want to focus, is that company really, is their products and services that people are going to want to buy? Are they competitive in the marketplace? You know, and that's the kind of research that needs to be done, and they need to, if they have a bad quarter, it doesn't mean it's the end of that stock. So they have to have patience and
Patient and start over.
we call it the so what. In other words, the
So what?
You know,
Yes.
because what happens is there'll be a company or there'll be news or there'll be something that comes out and it's big headlines and all these things are going on. But then we have to really ask the fundamental question: so what? Does it? I mean, I always say that the fact that when they talk about Brexit, right? When the fact that people in London are mad at people in Brussels
And they
really
wanna
doesn't
leave the
have
European.
anything. It doesn't really have anything to do with the price of toilet paper in Cleveland.
Yes.
And so
exactly.
so you have to really see, does this really matter?
like
you know?
Yeah, I want to ask you about that too.
when London, you know, England decided to leave the European.
Yes.
So it's British exit, so they call it Brexit because British are exiting the
They frequently
Yeah, I
has to
hear that.
translate.
the
for them.
European, and so the market went down. And so what Ryan is saying, why is our market going down? Because of that. How does that affect the companies we're selling here? It has no effect on many companies.
Yes.
So, but these are things that happen.
So
And
so let me ask you a brave question, and you answer me a brave answer.
هحاول.
حاولي.
هحاول.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you ever panicked وانتي حاجة كبيرة في يعني عندك شركة كبيرة in America, and you have lots of clients and 1.5 billion you're responsible about many people? Have you been like ever panicked لما حاجة crashed?
Of course you panic, but you don't act on your panic. You do research. You go, why
That's
is this
so
happening?
smart.
I mean, when it happens, when it's something, you know, like when things happen, is this something? A good example of that is Boeing, right? I mean, they just had,
I hear
they
about
just
Boeing,
had,
yes.
you know, the 737 taken off the market and so forth. So, you know, is this something that's going to hurt them now, just now, or is this something going to hurt them long term?
Long term.
So you know, we look at that. I mean, you hear these things. That's a big thing. You have to realize, is this something? This is where the research comes. The fact of the matter is, only 2 companies that actually make planes. So there's and Boeing.
Yes.
So, you know, you look at that and you go, my company was doing great, and then something like that happens, and the plane is shut, and it's not flying, and you go, you know, then you do the research. That's why you have a team, and then, you know, I say my team.
The research
Right.
comes. Yes.
I need you to tell me, is this something, you know, what's going to affect them long term, and that's important. But definitely, yeah, you can't be human and not panic. It's just how you act on that panic, how you act on that emotions, is what makes
Or
it.
not.
Or not, yes.
Or not.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's good.
again, what Layla said is that's the value of having a team. Everybody's able to
Right.
kind of, all right, let's talk through this and make sure that people aren't overreacting or something. And that's what we try to do. You gotta focus on the facts.
Yes, exactly. So regarding England and the story of England, we hear about China, how China is, like, you know, very aggressive in the market, and everyone worried right now where we going, you know, to be like beside China. And I heard some people, they taking, like, buying gold right now and taking it to China and like some silly stuff. So can you tell me, is it China is a threat anyway for America?
No.
No.
No,
at all?
I think people tend to overestimate China in some sense. In what context you think about it? First of all, let's look at the trade war. In the trade war at this point, you know, China has a very small gun, and we have a great big cannon, because they're really a very small part of our economy. We're really a very large part of theirs. So sooner or later, they are going to end up having to make. They need a deal far more than we do. In the end, that's
now
it.
we have a fight with China.
Now?
Yeah,
Right.
right now we have a fight with China in the trade war, and they need a deal far more than we do.
Because we buy a lot more from them than they buy from us. And the
course.
reason they don't buy as much from us is because there's restrictions. They don't allow as many American countries to go sell there. And
They copy our stuff.
yeah,
They copy ours.
and they steal our technology.
And
So they've
brands
taken
and
all the
everything.
advantages, and we're saying, listen, you know, we need to have more of an equal footing, okay? And they've been buying, you know, we buy so much from them.
Yes.
And then what they do is they compete with our products. So for steel, they subsidize the price of steel, so it makes the steel companies, manufacturers here, go out of business because they can sell it cheaper.
Much cheaper,
Right?
yes.
And so there's a fight now between us over trade. And we're trying to have an accord, because if they
we're going to
don't,
succeed to be like...
yes, they have to, because
I think I think what's going to happen is they'll make a deal. China needs us more than we need China.
Yes.
Over time, you're going to see the Chinese economy is going to continue to grow. The U.S. economy is going to continue to grow. There's a lot of people in the media that are out there trying to scare folks about saying China's going to, you know, take over the world and this and that and the other. I think that's just designed to scare people. And I think it does them a great disservice. I think what you might see as much as 20 years from now, you see a moment where you have the U.S. dollar and the Chinese renminbi or yuan, and then you probably have a third basket of currencies over here, which is European and stuff like that. And so they're all you know, kind of trading in a mutual fashion. But I don't see this moment that people keep being frightened about, where China is taking over the world. I don't think
we are very strong economy, and we are a very strong country.
So,
right?
330 million consumers in the United States, okay, just what we buy as consumers, 330 million of us,
That's a lot.
are as big as the entire economy of China.
and they have
1.4 billion people.
I know.
So if you think about that,
I mean, our strength is more than their
Exactly.
Yeah, so quality versus quantity.
Exactly.
That's a good way of saying it.
Yes, okay, that's amazing.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. So our economy is good and we can invest in many things we like, and there is no worry until the 2020 election.
I think that's probably a fair assessment, and my crystal ball is goes up only up to November 2020.
Yeah, November 2020, and hopefully we have our President Trump, because he loves this country. I always say it doesn't matter anything. He loves this country. He cares about this country, and that's all what we need. And actually, he's fixing many things in the country. And as I said, I love him so much. I was telling one of my friends, I want to interview Trump. He said he will never interview you. I told him why. He said because you're not blonde. He likes only blonde. I told him, you know what? I still love him too. Okay. So I have a question for both of you, and I want you to answer. So what brings you the most satisfaction in life? Laila.
Sarah.
I think that's one thing that she and I absolutely agree on. The greatest satisfaction that we have is being parents.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy a lot of things. We love, certainly, I look at everything as experiences. Right now, life is all about experiences and about giving back and making a difference. So all those things. But if you ask me about one thing, number one by far, there's no question.
Sarah.
She brings us
the
joy.
We are so lucky in every way that God has truly blessed us with. I see many families. I work with a lot of families, and they tell me about the problems they have with their children and so forth. And maybe because
it's a planet you try to grow, and
right.
whatever you put into it will grow too, right?
Yeah, and it's a whole family.
I think it's interesting because obviously, like you said, the thing that brings us most joy is we've been fortunate to have this phenomenal daughter, and we're happy with that. But we're husband and wife, and we also work together, and that brings some wonderful challenges with it and some wonderful moments. But what's really kind of interesting is probably like once a week we'll both get a chance to talk to each other and say, wow, this is something that happened today, and I was able to make the difference in somebody's life. Or Layla will say, because Layla meets with all the clients, and she'll say, when I met with this person today, and golly, the thing we did for them 5 or 6 years ago has now really changed their life going forward. Or where we can look at doing something for families. Because we'll have 4 generations of the same families as
making
clients.
a difference.
That's what gets us excited. That's what gets us excited. Or we have families that give away a lot of money,
yes.
And they'll share with us, boy, you made me a lot of money this year, and I'm giving away half of it to this charity or that charity. And so we always try to make sure we tell the investment team about it, because we think philanthropy is really important, and we try to lead with that. But so the satisfaction we get from our job is not just that we earn it's that we're really able to help people.
Of course. So I need few words from you to your employees, but before that there is an Egyptian question for you.
Okay.
So allow me to speak Arabic. ممدوح كامل عايزين استثمار لتشغيل الشباب في مصر. أنا مش فاهمة السؤال بس how we can invest for behalf the people in Egypt, I think.
I think what he's saying is that there's Egyptians in Egypt that don't have as much work.
Exactly.
And what kind of jobs can you have?
How we can help them if we are here.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to work with, as you know, I was invited a couple of years ago by President Sisi, and I met about how to help Egypt. And no matter how much Egypt has to adopt something like the United States. In Egypt, they don't believe as much in the stock market.
Yes.
See, the stock market here is what makes America what it is. because the stock market allows companies, small companies, to have a good idea. Somebody like Steve Jobs, when he started his Apple computer in his garage. So you have a good idea, but unless you have other people invest in that, and now going to the stock market, people put more money and he's able to open up factories and employ young people to work. So you need capital. No matter how much capital Egypt has inside or gets from outside investors, you need, a lot of Egyptians have money, but they put it in real estate or they put it in the bank or they put it under. We need to have a society that allows businesses to have the people invest in them so they can open a factory. We have very many talented Egyptians in Egypt and highly educated.
Very educated,
and
yes.
they're very smart. Like I was mentioning before, when I came here,
You
I
were
was so much
advanced.
smarter. I knew a lot more. Everything except English was the only hard thing. I knew everything else for a couple of years because I already taken it there. So the education in Egypt is much harder than the education here. And so the kids really are educated, but we need to have capital. And we need to have the system. In one of the ways here people invest is because companies have what they call 401k, and they put money, they offer where they invest a portion of their salary before they see it. And I already talked to the Egyptian government about doing something like that. And they're researching all that, because if we can get more people to trust, then the Egyptian people themselves can open up factories and employ many more Egyptians. And the country will change, and I would love nothing but to see that happen.
Yes, يعني عشان على كلامك, my sister, she was 17 years old when she came here, and المجموع بتاعها in the college just took her to the art college. عارفة فنون جميلة. But when she loved math so much, so when she came here, she took her major in math, and now she's an aerospace engineering. She wanted to go to engineering college, but she couldn't. Like they told her, no, we can't, because درجاتها في الحاجات التانية الأدبية wasn't enough. So if she didn't came here, she would never fulfill her dreams. So we wish.
أنا عندي عارفة دينا, you know, ابنها ما شاء الله دخل أحسن كلية.
Yes. دينا فرج الله حبيبتنا.
Yes.
I love you, Dina.
Yeah. And he was the #1 student here.
Yes.
And he had just been here 5 years from Egypt, because the education in Egypt, I mean,
They
kids,
make you very smart. They let you work hard.
They make you
but
work.
in the end, sometimes you cannot fulfill your dreams,
Right.
unfortunately.
What Masr needs is capital, but they need to get people in Egypt to use some of that capital together, right? No one person can do it, but when they can invest back in businesses and good regulations, people trust the stock market here because we're very highly regulated.
You know, we have a stock market in Egypt, but we're not very educated about it. That's the problem.
It's very small, very few companies, because they need to have a mechanism from the employees have to make it where they take a portion of that paycheck automatically and put it into stocks for retirement. Then there's money. I'm working on that.
You're going in June. You should have a seminar about that.
I'm meeting.
Honestly,
I'm already planning to meet with the government.
Yes.
Nabila Makram and others.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, that's great. So I need last advice for investment. If I need advice for investment, what kind of piece of advice you give to the viewers?
Well, I mean, in terms of an individual.
Yes, individual.
Okay. Well, I think in terms of individual stocks and things like that, everyone needs to talk to their own advisor. You can't just throw those things out. But I think in general, what people should look at investing is things that they know, right? And I can tell you companies that we like. And we like Amazon, and we like Apple, and we like Microsoft, and we like Disney. We like these kind of companies, because and there's a whole raft of them, but we like companies that people interact with, that take a look around your house. Who do you buy from? What do you use? What kind of phone system do you use? And when you think about that, what are a lot of human beings doing? And those tend for the everyday investor to be good companies for people to invest into.
If you're afraid to invest because the price is so high, then invest a little bit every month. and have a regular program of investing.
Okay.
So sometimes you're going to buy when the stocks are down, and sometimes you buy when the stocks are up. But that's one good way. It's called dollar cost averaging. You just set up, and you can. There's many companies that will set that up where so many $1,000 a month are automatically buying stocks for you every month. And this is a good way so that, you know, because a lot of times, again, the emotions gets in the way. Mm-hmm. When it's going up, you go, oh, well, this is too high. I can't buy it right now. I'm going to wait for it to go down. And it keeps going up. Oh,
I wish if I bought.
Right, I wish I bought. And then they buy right on the top. Then it starts going down.
Oh.
And
So you
dollar
actually
cost
do
averaging,
consistent.
investing every month or every quarter or something, have a systematic, disciplined. Try and take your emotions out of investing, because emotions, it doesn't work.
Yes, true. Okay, I need an advice, not advice, sorry. I need a word for your employees.
Employees?
Yeah, because you have a huge company, lots of employees, and everyone is like energetic, as I said. So what do you want to say to them?
Well, I feel like my employees are my biggest assets.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's true. I can't do a thing without them. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't service the kind of clients I have. I don't have the research. I mean, it's really, you're only as good as your team. Nothing, I may get the accolades, but really, you know, having a very supportive, wonderful husband and having great team and really all working together, it's very important. You know, as you know, I have sports. Okay, and if you look at football, you know, one player is good, but it's a team. If you know, you're only as good as your team.
Yes, true.
And this is really so. I love them all, and I'm honored to have them, and I hope that we continue to grow, and I always make sure that they are talented, they're hard workers, and they have a servant's heart.
You support them, you take
Right.
them to education
And
sometimes, you send them to education sometimes.
Yes, and I also have a very diverse team. Like, we speak 11 different languages.
Really?
Yes.
11 languages?
Yes, and you know, we have a lot of veterans, right? And you know, being in the military, you know, the military spends so much time, so much money on these veterans before they get out in the workplace. So we like people that, you know, trained, they're good, disciplined, and work as a team, because you can't win a war without being a team, right? It's having a team
Sure.
and following a leader. So they're my biggest assets.
That's amazing. They are lucky to have you. And Mr. Pence, what do you want to say to your team?
I think we've got a fascinating team that works really, really hard, and they work really, really well together. And I'm proud of all of them, because they do kind of lead with, as Layla has said, the servant's heart. And I think that's when you recognize it, that people are really your only asset, then we've been tremendously blessed to be able to put together a great team of people that are smart, that are hardworking, that kind of go the extra mile because they believe in what we're doing. They believe in trying to make people's lives better, and that's an important thing. You got to have your heart in this, and you have to be a servant to begin with. And I think that's one of the things that's been very important to our team and how we move forward.
Yeah, my
so I
associate-
got to thank them. They're great.
Yes. My associates always looks, this is the emotional paycheck. We're looking, it's not just enough to get a paycheck. You have to have an emotional paycheck. It has to make you feel like you're doing the right thing, and you got more than that. And that's the kind of people that we have. So I couldn't be more blessed.
I guess when you think about our mission statement is, you know, we serve to help people be more comfortable about their income and confident in their wealth. That's kind of our mission statement, and serve is the second word in that. And so I'm so proud of our team
Put
because
your heart to your job.
yeah, that's it. They all, people come to work because they want to. And they want to, and they get up every day, and
They learn a lot from you guys.
And we learn a lot from them. We have a lot of younger people on our team. I learn something new from them every day.
Definitely. So there is a question someone told me before, or someone told me a statement that 10 years ago, his company was doing better than today. So if you have a big company and big asset, and for some reason you your company economy is not doing well like in the past. What's the advice for him?
Well, generally, if that happens, is because he hasn't changed with the time.
He hasn't changed.
Right. I mean, it's like if you think about Kodak. You know, they used to have
yes.
all that Kodak. Everyone took pictures with Kodak. But when the digital world came in, they refused to change. And they thought, no one's going to go to this digital, taking picture digitally. And they actually wind up filing bankruptcy after being the biggest because they refused to change. So, you know, if a company, you know, if you have a good economy and you move with the times, because change is difficult. People don't want to change. You know,
they are comfortable.
Right. If you think about it, if you go, you know, and you have a group of people and you have a meeting, they sit in the same place every time. If you go on a if you go
that's true. That's a comfort zone.
Right, on a bus, you wind up sitting in the same seat all the time.
Yes.
There's something about doing the same thing, and change is the hardest thing. And if you refuse to change and you keep doing the same thing over and you don't, then usually that's what happens. Or you maybe have a product people no longer want.
Okay, you need to think out of the box.
Companies, you know, like you say, companies do well when they have a competitive advantage, and they're providing a service that a lot of people want, and they have a competitive advantage. Now, you can be the greatest wagon wheel manufacturer in the world, but nobody wants wagon wheels anymore, right? So that could be a problem. So that the market has changed and no one wants your product. Or it could be you've become complacent. So when we look at companies, we're always asking that question. So the person who wrote in may have to ask himself that question is, what has happened to my competitive advantage? What was it? I was more successful 10 years ago. Is it that there's other people in my market? I'm just not the leader anymore, or any of those kind of things? Or is the demand for my product in total moving and nobody needs it anymore? I've been replaced. And if that's the case, they need to take all the talent that they have and see how they can change to move towards where the market's going.
Yes, true. Okay, that's amazing. So before we finish our episode today, and I am really enjoying like our speech, like our talk, I mean, let me see the video for you one more time, okay? الموفي بتاعك.
Which video?
الموفي بتاعك. ممكن نشوف الموفي بتاع أستاذة ليلى تاني؟
حد يسأل عليها ولا إيه؟
يا حد بيسأل عليها. ممكن نشوف الموفي تاني لو سمحتوا. وأنا بشكركم جدا جدا. I thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. And let's watch the movie and come
هذه
back.
المرأة المصرية التي تحدت كل الصعاب لتصبح اليوم واحدة من أهم النساء في عالم المال والأعمال حول العالم. اليوم سنروي لكم قصة نجاح ليلى بنس. كانت تعيش ليلى مع عائلتها بسلام بالقرب من قناة السويس في مصر، إلى أن اندلعت في عام 1967 حرب ال6 أيام بين مصر والأردن وسوريا وإسرائيل. دوت صافرات الإنذار في مدينتها، وبدأت القنابل تتساقط، فهربت ليلى مع عائلتها إلى مكان آمن. بعد انتهاء خطر الغارة عادت العائلة بسرعة إلى المنزل لأخذ أمتعة خفيفة ويذهبوا بعيدا إلى مكان آمن. لحظة خروجهم من المنزل وإذا بصافرات الإنذار تدوي من جديد، ثم سمعوا دوي قنبلة كبيرة. تقول ليلى: سقطت القنبلة في الغرفة التي كنت فيها ودمرت المنزل. نجت ليلى وعائلتها بأعجوبة، لكنهم فقدوا كل شيء تقريبا. انتقلت ليلى وعائلتها إلى القاهرة، ونجح والدها في أخذ موافقة على الهجرة إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. لم تجري أمور الانتقال بسهولة، فقد كسر والدها ساقه وتعذر عليه السفر. خوفا من انتهاء مدة التأشيرة الممنوحة لهم، كان على العائلة اتخاذ قرار بسفر ليلى مع والدتها لوحدهما. وصلت ليلى مع أمها إلى نيويورك وكان عمرها 12 عاما، وواجهوا الكثير من المصاعب. بسبب وضعهم المادي السيء كانوا يعيشون في شقة صغيرة مع عائلة من بورتوريكو. تقول ليلى: لقد كان وقتا عصيبا حقا. لم نكن نعرف تحدث اللغة الإنجليزية، وكانت نيويورك مدينة باردة. تخرجت ليلى من مدرستها الثانوية ودرست الاقتصاد في جامعة كاليفورنيا، وكانت تعمل نادلة في أحد المطاعم لتغطي تكاليف دراستها. وفي آخر سنة دراسية لها وجدت أول زبائنها، وهي امرأة أعطتها 20,000 دولار لتستثمرها. تصف ليلى تلك اللحظة: كنت سعيدة جدا. وتضيف: لم أكن أصدق أن شخصا ما سيعطيني ثقته ويقدم لي 20,000 دولار من مال كسبه بعرق جبينه. أصبحت ليلى مستشارة مالية لهذه الزبونة. بعدها بفترة قليلة تزوجت ليلى من بنس، وأسسا معا في عام 1980 شركتهما لتقديم خدمات استشارة مالية. في الثمانينات كان عمل المرأة صعبا، ولم يكن الرجال يثقون بقدرات ليلى المالية، حتى أن أحدهم قال لها عندما كانت حامل: سأسحب أموالي من شركتكم لأنك ستكونين مشغولة بالعناية بالطفل. رغم كل الصعاب التي تتعرض لها المرأة العربية العاملة في الولايات المتحدة، تمكنت ليلى وزوجها من تكبير الشركة، وأصبح لديهم ما يقارب 1.5 مليار من الاستثمارات. كما وضعت مجلة فوربس ليلى في المركز الرابع في قائمة أفضل المستشارين الماليين في الولايات المتحدة. رغم انشغالها بأعمالها، إلا أنها تجد الوقت لزيارة مصر بكثرة، وتتبرع للعديد من الجمعيات الخيرية هناك. كما كرمت ليلى قبل سنتين بمنحها جائزة عن مجمل إنجازات حياتها المهنية. قصة ليلى هي قصة نجاح وإصرار في عالم صعب.
Thank you.
I love it. It's very beautiful, Layla. Thank you for making us all proud.
Oh,
Seriously,
thank you.
thank you so much.
I'm just blessed and honored and humbled and thank you so much for inviting us to be here. And
Thank you.
you know,
I've been 3 years chasing Mr. Pence to be here, and actually Fox News stealing you from us and CNN. So tell me, why they calling you? Because every couple of days you are in somewhere in the world talking about the economy.
Well, it's one of those things that happen over time. We write a lot, we publish a lot, and so Fox, CNN, CNBC, Reuters, all of them tend to ask me to be on to deliver commentary on the economy and markets.
And so we've gotten famous, you know,
Yes,
seeing how well we've grown. And
know.
so
Always at the top. Always at the top.
and he's very good being there explaining things, and they like him because he can explain in things that people can understand.
Yes,
He's very good at
actually,
that.
I saw a few interviews, and actually I understood when
Shifty?
when I didn't have.
Well, thank you.
I understood. This was a surprise to me. No, your explanation is very like clear, and thank you so much for being yourself and for being here with me. Even though we are so humbled, like channel, but you never.
We love you guys, and we love what you do.
Thank you.
And we love what you do for the community here, and all the
Shukran.
services. And
Thank you.
And Heidi and Shireen and the team. You guys have always been so good, and we're always happy to come and do whatever we can to help.
And I was praying like all night that I level those Fox people. So can you give me the result on air?
You've done a very, very good job.
Thank you.
Mira, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that we could do this.
Thank you
Very
so
good.
much. Pence
Very
Wealth
good job.
Management, thank you so much. Inshallah, I wish if I can meet you again and talk about the
Inshallah.
economy. And after that 2020 election, please vote for Trump so our economy goes to the top. And we'll meet again, right?
Inshallah.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll do it again.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Well, no, I'll say yes. Thank you. We'll be happy to do that.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you so
Okay,
much. And شكرا مس ليلى. وأعزائنا المشاهدين بنشكركم جدا جدا. كان معانا النهارده Pence Wealth Management، ورقم التليفون هيكون موجود في الكنترول روم، والإعادة هتكون يوم الاثنين الساعة 4:30 Monday at 4:30 California time, 7:30 New York time. I will repeat this episode again, and thank you so much. من اسأل مع ميرا. Tomorrow we have very important episode with real estate كمال تدرس. Please stay tuned. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. very